Turn my mic on here so I can talk to you. Thank you for coming out tonight. Welcome to the November 9th regular Planning Commission meeting for Kern County. And we're glad you came out to see us tonight. Madam Clerk, would you call roll?
Commissioner Louie?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia?
Here.
Commissioner Poole? Commissioner Sprague?
Here.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Ms. Oviatt? Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Ms. Simon?
Okay, thank you. That brings us to item number B on the agenda, which is commissioner member announcements or reports. Do we have any from the commissioners? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the last minutes that we had October 26th. You've received those either in your package or tonight. I need a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Garcia and a second by Commissioner Louie. Cast your vote. Or just all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion carries. And we'll move on to cases withdrawn or requests. There are none tonight. So let's go to the item number E, a consent agenda. Today, cases 1 and 2. Mr. Murphy, are you handling that for us?
I am, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you.
The consent agenda, these are items scheduled before your Planning Commission, which are being recommended for approval by staff, and the applicant has been informed of any special conditions and has no objection. The hearing on these items may be expedited if no member of the commission or audiences wish to comment or ask any questions on the case. As you had indicated, we have 2 items on consent this evening. However, staff has received correspondence on both items, and based on that correspondence, staff is recommending that item 2 be pulled off consent and heard in its regular order. Staff does recommend that item 1 remain on consent. Case number 1 is conditional use permit number 18, map 1733. The applicant is Wally and Pam Stewart. The project is located at 7320 Wolford Boulevard in Wolford Heights. The request is to allow a kennel for a maximum of 15 dogs in an RFMH district. The staff recommendation is to approve the conditional use permit in accordance with the recommended conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. As I mentioned, we did receive a comment letter, which I did provide to your commission. The comment letter was from a resident that was opposed to the project. This case and this project has already been operating. The conditional use permit expired, and so the applicant has reapplied for the same use that they had been previously operating under. Given the fact that they are proposing to operate the exact same operation that they previously were, staff is still recommending approval of this project. With that, that completes the reading of the consent calendar.
Okay, great. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 1 on the consent agenda? Otherwise, it'll be voted on tonight. We might as well get it out of the way now. I was going to say we'd pull it here in regular order, but it's number 1. Would you state your name for the record, please, and spell your last name?
Pam Stewart, S-T-E-W-A-R-T.
Okay. Proceed.
We have been operating and breeding the cockapoo's for a number of years. We had a conditional use permit, and either I didn't read that it was a 3-year conditional use permit, or more likely I read it and then forgot it in the 3 years. And when I became aware that it was expired, we have gone through the process to pay the penalty fee and get it reinstated again so that we can continue.
So you read and agreed to what's being presented tonight?
I'm sorry?
You have read and agreed to what's being presented to us tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on item number 1? Okay. Any commissioner comments or questions? All right. Then I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve item number 1.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Louie, second by Commissioner Garcia. Please cast your vote. Thank you. And notice right of appeal, Mr. Murphy?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For projects where the Planning Commission action is final, those actions are subject to appeal to the Board of Supervisors by any interested person, and no development proposed by any application may be authorized until after the final date of appeal. An appeal may be filed with the Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Department, located at 2700 M Street, Suite 100 in Bakersfield, with a filing fee of $540 on forms available to Planning and Natural Resources Department. The filing must be made within 14 days of and including the date of this hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. That brings us to item number 2, which was on consent but has been pulled and now heard in regular order. So we'll open the public hearing. How many people do we have wish to speak on item number 2? Just 1, 2, and that's it. Okay, great. Mr. Murphy, would you like to give us an overview on this, or should we look at this and possibly recommend it back to staff?
Let me give a presentation to kind of summarize what the request is, what the concerns are, and then I'll provide you a couple options.
All right.
So again, the proposal before your commission this evening is an amendment to the circulation element of the Metropolitan Bakersfield General Plan. The applicant in this particular case is the Kern County Public Works Department. As a reminder for your commission, the request is an elimination of existing alignments and then the adoption of 2 specific plan lines that are adjacent to the Meadowsfield Airport. None of the roadways we are discussing tonight are actual built roads. These are lines on a map, as we refer to them. And again, they are the potential future roadway alignments that would accommodate future development in the area. Again, this proposal was initiated by the Kern County Public Works Department to address future circulation in the area. As the current alignments cannot be implemented due to existing development that has occurred in the area already. So again, what the attempt is to revise the alignment to serve the entire area and allow for future development in a better manner. Again, this area is located within the airport area of economic opportunity, which is what has generated the interest from the Public Works Department. As has been outlined on pages 1 and 2 of your staff report, there have been a number of times this particular request has moved forward. We've thought we had some alignments that worked for everybody, then to find out we've worked with some additional property owners and maybe that alignment wasn't the best. So this has been before your commission before, and we've referred it back. So after the last referral back on September 28th, 2017, Kern County Planning, along with representatives from the Kern County Public Works Department, met with all the property owners in the area to try to identify what particular alignment would serve everybody's needs. As outlined on page 2 of your staff report, there were 2 alternatives that were identified, Alternative A and Alternative B. Based on the desire of everybody in attendance at that meeting, it was determined unanimously that Alternative B was the appropriate proposal to bring before for your commission. So Alternative B and the specific provisions in Alternative B is the recommendation that is before you tonight. Since distribution of the staff report that indicated this recommendation, your commission did receive a letter this evening. It was from McIntosh and Associates, and it was received on behalf of Golden State Properties, LLC. And they have a concern regarding the alignment and about the ability to complete the proposed circulation plan. Specifically, they are asking your commission to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that Kern County and the airport work with Golden State Properties, LLC to accommodate the ability to construct Wingsway to their property at no cost to Golden State Properties, LLC, and for the airport right-of-way. So what this means, in my understanding, and which I can demonstrate on this map, the proposed alignment crosses, right at this location, land that is currently owned by the Kern County Airports Department. The airport director, Richard Strickland, was in attendance at that September meeting and is aware of this alignment and believes that it is the best alternative and the best alternate alignment to meet the circulation needs of the area. It appears, based on the comment that we have received, that while the concerned party, Golden State Properties, LLC, is fine with the proposed alignment, they are asking for assurances that the land can be provided to them that crosses the airport and or potentially help being built so that it gets to their land. In response to that, the only thing that the planning department would note is those type of activities are something that usually occur when a project is being proposed. Right now, we do not have any projects in the area. The item is a circulation plan. And then your commission has no authority to recommend that the board have the airports department look into this item or construct a road or even be able to dedicate the particular land. I can tell you that those options are being looked at and evaluated as to whether or not those are any possibilities or whether or not there are any agreements that could potentially be made regarding that. But there is no action that your commission can do or even the board in terms of approval of this request that would guarantee or ensure that that happens. So really what it boils down to is staff does believe, in consultation with the Public Works Department, that this alignment is the one that works best for everybody in the area. It's our belief and understanding that the properties involved believe that this is the appropriate alignment. And the airport director has been involved in this process. So, while I don't speak for the airport director, I do believe that he believes that accommodations will be able to be made for this roadway to go through that alignment. The concern that they are raising today has specifically to do with how it's constructed and how that land that goes through the airport property is ultimately conveyed to allow for that construction to take place.
That's not on our plate tonight, though.
Well, that is not, and your commission doesn't necessarily have any authority to make that as part of your recommendation. So, which I will read the recommendation that staff does believe that the recommendation is still appropriate and that your commission should recommend approval of the request. However, of course, if you do not believe that appropriate issues have all been worked out like they should have, the other option staff would recommend is to refer this back to staff. But again, we don't believe that is necessary at this particular case. And again, this is a project that the Public Works Department has initiated, and so all of the money and time and effort has been to date has been at the cost of the county as opposed to any project applicant. And so we do believe that based on all of that, the alignment, the consultation that has taken place, and the discussion that is had, this is the appropriate action to take this evening. So just so that I can have it, I would like to read to you the specific recommendation since I had not read that as part of the consent calendar. The department recommendation is to advise the Planning Commission to recommend the Board of Supervisors to approve the amendment to the circulation element of the Metropolitan Bakersfield General Plan to eliminate road reservations for A, along the portion of Petrol Road between State Route 65 and Airport Drive, B, along Imperial Avenue between Wingsway and James Road, C, 2 parallel alignments between James Road and Merle Haggard Drive, and D, adopt the Wingsway specific plan line from the existing terminus north of Merle Haggard Drive to Imperial Avenue, and adopt the Petrol Road specific plan line from its existing terminus west of Landings Way to Wingsway, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the attached draft resolution. That completes the presentation by staff.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Commissioner Louie, did you have comments?
I did have some comments, but do we want to hear from the applicant?
Did you have comments or staff questions?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right, then we'll go ahead with opening the public hearing and hearing those wishing to speak for or against the project. Please state your name for the record and spell your last name, ma'am.
Darcy Larman, Larman, with McIntosh and Associates, representing Golden State Properties, LLC.
Okay.
I would first like to take this opportunity to thank the Public Works staff, Craig Pope and Warren Maxwell, and Craig Murphy with the Planning Department for working on this with us for such a long time. And I would like to read this letter into the record. We are in favor of staff's recommendation. We would prefer it not be referred back to staff. And without any further ado, I'll just read the letter. Dear Commissioners, on behalf of Golden State Properties, LLC, we are not opposed to the application before you tonight, but are concerned about the ability to complete the proposed circulation plan. We have had numerous discussions with staff and adjacent property owners, but still have issues that have not been answered as of this date. While the current alignment of Wingsway north of Merle Haggard Drive requires obtaining right-of-way across airport property to access Golden State Properties, LLC parcel, the new alignment requires the same need for right-of-way across airport property. We request on behalf of Golden State Properties, LLC, that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Supervisors that Kern County and the airport work with Golden State Properties, LLC, to accommodate the ability to construct Wingsway to their property at no cost to Golden State Properties, LLC, for the airport right-of-way to be able to complete the community's plan for development of the airport property consistent with the Metropolitan Bakersfield General Plan and safe and adequate circulation around the airport which is a community asset to adjacent properties. Respectfully submitted, Roger McIntosh. And while, as Mr. Murphy stated, we realize the commissioners cannot add this as a condition to the project, we wanted it read into the record, and we plan on working out the details with staff prior to action by the Board of Supervisors, and we ask for your recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. And I would like to ask one question. Do we know when this would go to the board if it is recommended for approval?
Mr. Chairman and Ms. Larman, it would be scheduled, this is a circulation element, so it is an amendment to the general plan, and it would go to the December 5th Board of Supervisors date.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other speakers? Mr. Tregish, would you spell your last name for us, please? Pleasure to see you tonight.
Thank you so much. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Murray Tregish. My last name is spelled Tragish, and I'm an attorney for Golden State Properties, Inc. And we, of course, join in with Ms. Lawson's comments. I just wanted to add a few to what I heard this evening, and so that the commissioners can be aware of what our position is. We own property on that map where the west wing, the wing's alignment, northern portion of it, which is in white, I think the parcel, that's where our property is located. And we need to get that easement or right-of-way in the corner of that parcel, which was pointed out by this gentleman. And if we can't get it, we will be landlocked again. And we have been optimistic that we've been talking to people in all the various county departments that we hopefully get some kind of agreement that will allow us, either through license or right-of-way, to build out that road and be able to connect up with the lower half of that alignment. My concern is that before we get back and before this goes in front of the Board of Supervisors, that we at least have that resolved and everybody's happy. And so I understand it's going to be back to the Board of Supervisors on December 5th. I'm just kind of hoping we can have a little bit more time before it goes in front of the Board of Supervisors to give us sufficient time to see if we can resolve that, because it'll put us in a different position, of course, in front of the Board of Supervisors. We don't have it. So I guess my concern is, I understand it was December 5th. I don't know if that's the latest or the greatest date that you can put it in front of them if this were to be recommended to the Board of Supervisors. So I would respectfully ask the commissioners to consider that, if there's some way that you can put it in front of the Board of Supervisors with your recommendations tonight at a later date, and still be within the ambit of the requirements under the various codes and ordinances. And I think that's all I really have to add at this point. We recognize that this is a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. I also recognize that when we get in front of the Board of Supervisors, it may be a different type of a hearing, and we were trying to avoid that. We really wish to cooperate and get this thing done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tregish. Mr. Murphy, do you have any comments to his testimony?
Chairman Sprague, the only comment I guess I would offer is the question regarding the latest date. Again, the general plan can only be updated 4 times a year. December 5th is the next available date. The next date has not yet been determined by the board. Generally speaking, it's sometime in March. I guess my only response would be, again, this is something that the county has been attempting to do to try to accommodate all of the property owners in the area. If no action is undertaken, there is still a concern that would have to be addressed at some point in the future. This is our attempt to help provide that answer now. And so I guess my response would be is again, staff does believe that we've identified the appropriate alignment. But if there are some concerns, then your commission has the options of either adopting the alignment or referring it back.
So just to clarify, item B, which we're looking at and setting these alignments, would give connection to the property that Mr. Tregish was testifying to down the road.
Chairman Sprague, yes, I believe that is correct. Right now, there are a number of properties in the area that don't have access. And again, given existing development that has occurred, in attempt to provide the opportunity for development to occur in the area, the county has initiated a process to help do that. If no action is taken by your commission, the issues are still the same, and then that burden will fall upon each property owner as they go to develop their own land. And so again, the attempt that staff is attempting to do and make and accommodate is the ability to have that process earlier and have an alignment that already meets that need. Again, if this does not occur, the situation has not changed. As each property owner goes to develop their land, they will still have to provide the proof that they have access to their property. We will require any improvements that are needed to help do that, but if there is no access, then the applicant on their own will have to acquire that. So the situation has not changed. The only concern is that this is a new alignment, and again, the only response is there is nothing that we can do at this time or your commission can do to help guarantee how that acquisition is acquired or anything along those lines. I can tell you that I know that the department and the county is looking into what possibilities there are, but I do not have a specific answer for your commission this evening regarding any direction that will or will not work at this time.
Well, my concern, Mr. Murphy, would be that other property owners who haven't discussed this issue, after a decision would be made here possibly to approve item B for the alignments, is that a future property owner that's out there that hasn't been involved or wants to come forward at a later date, and we've already made a decision on the alignments, how's that going to affect their piece of property if we've already made a decision on item B tonight? I'm a little queasy about that.
Chairman Sprague, I guess the only thing I would offer is that in the number of meetings that we have had regarding this, it is our belief that we have involved every and all property owners that would be impacted by this. They were all at the table at September 28th meeting, and I do not believe that there is anybody outside that has not been involved in this particular process that their property would directly impact or affect. And again, it's my understanding that all of the property owners are in agreement that the alternative before your commission this night is the best from a circulation perspective.
Okay, we have a question by
Yeah,
Commissioner
I
Lewitt.
do have a few questions. Mr. Tragus, can I ask you some questions, please? Could you come forward? If your client,
Excuse me, Murray Tragish, go ahead.
Thank you.
thank you. If your client cannot work out some way to get the right of access at that corner for whatever reason, or they can't work it out to where it's acceptable to your client, then what will you guys do? Will you find another way to get, will you try to figure out another way to provide a road to their property?
We've spent extensive time thinking about that,
Okay.
Commissioner Louie. The other alignment that they had, that alignment went all the way up to the north there, and I guess that's, whatever that street is, went all the way up to there, and that's been taken out. And there really is no other way, unless we want to spend an ungodly amount of millions and millions of dollars paving streets and so forth out that way to the 65. It puts us in a very, very difficult position. I'd like to say that I've heard the comments by this gentleman over here, and I've listened to the comments by the chairman. And in the general plan, one of the comments it made is that the county initiated the amendment would encourage future development by allowing greater flexibility in the design, internal circulation, location of future travelway, et cetera, et cetera. There are no other property owners here tonight. They may have talked to a lot of property owners. I don't know if some had any objections. I can't say that they all had 100% agreement. We'd like this to go forward. Don't mistake that. We'd like this to go forward because we think it's a good alignment if we can get that connection. So the limitation of my comments, I hope I'm responding to what you asked, sir, is that we just want to ensure that we have sufficient time to get that agreement because we have the FHA, the county, and the airport to deal with. And I understand that they're all talking right now. And I understand there may be a prospect of some agreement.
So you guys like this alignment, you want the Planning Commission to approve this alignment and move it forward to the Board of Supervisors. But you understand that that staff has indicated that we don't have the authority to make a recommendation asking or requiring the airport, the county, and you guys to all work together. Is there, I mean, do you differ, do you have a different opinion? Do you think we can do that? Or, I don't know what the answer is.
I think it's a matter of words. I think what the gentleman is saying, excuse me, I can't remember your last name, that's why I'm calling him that gentleman.
Mr. Murphy.
Is that you can't give, so to speak, injunctive comments to the Board of Supervisors. You can't tell them what to do. Mm-hmm. But I think that you can phrase it in different language where that it appears to be beneficial if there is a significant cooperation between the county and the various departments in getting that matter resolved. I don't think you have to say that you are using strong language or injunctive language, that you want them to do this or you require them to do it, et cetera. I think you can just say that it would be something that would promote the general plan, and it would promote the efforts of all this particular property owner to cooperate and get this thing done in an efficient fashion. We don't want to be adversarial. It's not the purpose when you do these types of things. We want to be cooperative. As you can see, we have someone from Mr. McIntosh's office here, and he's working tirelessly to try to resolve this. So again, I hope I haven't been too talkative. I'm trying to answer your stuff.
No, I'm just trying to, I just want to make sure that all the commissioners fully understand exactly what it is you guys are asking for. So you guys want us to vote to approve this alignment, move it forward with some additional language in the record where we are making a suggestion, or we're making a nice request that everyone work together to try to work out this corner, and you guys are fine with that?
That would be fine.
Okay.
And the last thing I wanted to say, because I think you hit the top of this, is that if we go to a Board of Supervisors, I realize you were making a recommendation and you're saying, we are looking at this, Mr. Tregish, and you're telling us you want to promote this. By the same token, if we can't work this out, this is something we'll have to resolve with the Board of Supervisors if we can't get this connection. And it may be resolved at that point as well. This is kind of the first step in this stage, and I recognize that too, and I think my clients do as well.
Okay, I think I understand what you're looking for. Is December 5th too early for you? You want to put it out past December 5th?
It is a little bit too early.
But I think Mr. Murphy indicated the next time that they can do it is in March, right, Mr. Murphy?
Commissioner Louie, through the chair, the general plan can only be adopted 4 times a year. Near the end of each calendar year, the clerk of the board establishes what the general plan dates are for the next calendar year. At this time, I do not have any dates that have been adopted for when the general plan can be considered next year. Again, the board can decide what days. Generally speaking, those dates are in March, June, September, and then December. The only date that I have right now is December 5th in terms of the next planning commission, or the next general plan window date.
But we're real confident that there'll be another one in March, or March, April-ish. We feel good about that.
There will be 4 next year.
Next year, okay.
I think March would be sufficient. I think we probably would have this resolved by then, one way or the other, and it would give us sufficient time to work it out. We don't, and again, in saying that, I'm not asking that this be sent back to planning because the date's out there. We want to push it forward. We just want to get that extra time.
Okay, and so Mr. Murphy, number one, is it appropriate and can we set this for the Board of Supervisors in March to give them more time to work it out? And number two, can we make the type of, put the type of language where we make a recommendation and suggest that all the parties get together to try to resolve the issue?
Commissioner Louie, through the chair, I will defer to council for an official answer on some of this stuff. I guess I will offer, the county has been extremely cooperative in these efforts that are undertaken right now. Again, this request was initiated on behalf of the county to solve a concern for all the property owners in the area. If you look at the alignment, the current alignment would go through here, all of this airport property, and it would come all the way up. So you see the revised alignment cuts down a tremendous amount of land that would have to be acquired from the county airports department. And again, we do not believe that that alignment works in the first place. With that, your commission absolutely can provide the comments, and if you're providing that you believe that this should be looked at, that is completely acceptable and fine. Whether or not that's part of your official recommendation, I would leave that to council. But again, this is an item that has been looked at specifically. There are some concerns, and we are evaluating the possibility of how that land was acquired, based on how that land was acquired and with what funds it was acquired with, whether or not the county can and cannot do certain things to help address this alignment. And so again, I guess I would offer to your commission that all parties are looking to find the appropriate means by which this can be addressed. But again, the item before your commission is a circulation plan amendment. I mean, that is the action that's before it. And again, your commission has the authority, if you not believe we've addressed this, to take whatever actions you think are appropriate. But again, this is an area of economic opportunity. In the general plan, we've identified that this is an area we want to see developed. We just cannot commit and say what we can and cannot do from a perspective of dedicating land, how it's being provided. You know, those are all other issues that have to be addressed at a later date, and usually those are addressed when development occurs, not when we are planning a theoretical road that would be built at some point in the future. But again, I defer to council regarding any specific provisions. Regarding the date, I am not aware of any mandatory time frame by which I would have to set this for a board hearing. I do believe that it's inappropriate to let this linger on too long. I don't know what dates they would be. Again, it could always be set for December 5th, and then if the board felt that it was appropriate, they can always continue it at that time to allow additional time. But I do believe that it would be appropriate for me to at least set the next available date, just because I don't have a March date that I could identify at this.
So could we just say first available date in 2018?
I would defer to council specifically, but again,
Council?
Chairman, at this stage, I think the most appropriate thing is to refer this back to staff. What's on here, as I'm looking at the request, is a request of property from the airport to be assigned over for a purpose. We don't even have anybody from the airport here to comment on that. So, frankly, I think we have to refer this back to staff at this stage, because I'm frankly not even sure what's being requested, and I don't like the fact that we're trying to draw roads on a map in the middle of a hearing without everybody that needs to be here involved.
But it's, and correct me, can I go through the chair?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Hall and Mr. Murphy through the chair, it's my understanding that, Mr. Murphy, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you feel like the planning department has made a good, solid effort in working with all the parties to get these issues hammered out and resolved. And so I think the parties want to move this thing forward, get the planning commission's approval on the alignment, and then give them some time to further work on figuring out that right-of-way access issue. And all they don't want us to mandate that the parties get together, because we can't do that. They just want some language where we say, hey, it's a nice suggestion, it'd be good if everyone could get together and go ahead and try to work these out.
It appears that they need to move forward with their FAA approval and things like that.
Right.
And if we don't get some designation to the alignment, they can't move forward. And that FAA approval takes a long, long time. So I see where you're coming from. You need to get the ball rolling on this stuff. So I'm a little leery of voting for it, item number B at this point, but, you know, I still need a little further explanation on it, but I see Commissioner Garcia wants to speak.
I mean, even the people from McIntosh and Associates, Ms. Larman, do you have a comment?
Yes, excuse me, through the commissioners. We would like to move forward with the project, and we ask for your recommendation to the Board of Supervisors for the next available general plan amendment window. If by that time we have not worked out, but we're pretty confident that we can work through any other issues, and as you stated, Mr. Sprague, if we don't move forward now, then we can't move forward with anything.
Right.
And it can always, as Mr. Murphy said, we can request a continuance, and so we're satisfied. Thank you.
It sounds like the communication has been satisfactory up to this point, and I'm pretty confident that the communication will be there going forward. The continuance, they can request it as they get further down the line, but it doesn't make sense to hold it up now.
Okay. So do we have any other speakers in the audience that wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to commissioners for action. So someone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a quick comment just to make a record that I would, I know we don't have the authority to do this, but I would just like to suggest and see that all the parties get together and work to try to resolve the issues. I think that's in the record
I would
now.
ditto that.
Are you okay with that,
Yeah, I would
Commissioner?
ditto
How about
that.
you, Commissioner Garcia?
I would
Yeah.
recommend the same.
Okay, I think that's in the record now, that suggestion. And
So-
so I'll make the motion to approve according to staff's recommendation.
I'll
Okay.
second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Louie and a second by Commissioner Garcia. All those cast a favor, cast your vote, please, or against.
3 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries.
Okay. And this brings us to item number 3 on the agenda, which is appointment of a nominating committee for the Planning Commission officers for the calendar year 2018. I believe that is down to chairman's choice at this point, so if it's all right with all the commissioners, I would appoint Commissioner Chad Louie and myself as the nominating committee, and we'll then move forward with a recommendation at the next meeting with the officers for next year, if that's okay with everyone.
It is.
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, everybody's good with that, so we don't need to vote on that, I don't think, so we'll just move forward with that. That brings us down to adjournment. The next planning commission meeting is December 14th, 2017. And Mr. Murphy, regarding notice of appeal, does that connect to this item?
It does not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
This was a recommendation, there's no notice of appeal.
And to item number 1?
Item number 1, I had previously read the
Right.
notice of appeal.
So we're good. Okay, great. So that brings us to adjournment.
Motion.
We are adjourned. Thank you for coming.